1. Verse 6 says this, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord, and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, and one that feareth God, and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord, and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that thou hast on every side? He has on every side. Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. Put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. The Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord." It's a very integral part to the story. It's a confusing part of the story. As much of the story of Job can be confusing, this is a confusing part of it. What is this? I walked out of my office today this afternoon, and as I was walking down from my office down here after lunch to get something, I was struck with how familiar I am about the world in which I live. And I walked down and I felt the warmth of the sun, and I felt the breeze on my face, and the kids were doing a cooking class, and there was something baking in the oven, and it was wafting out and smelt amazing. And I was thinking about my wife and my family as I was walking down there, and all of those thoughts, and I'm thinking, I'm very familiar with the world in which I live, and I understand how it works and how it operates and why I'm alive and what I'm trying to do and trying to pay my mortgage and trying to feed my family and all of how this world operates. I'm familiar with it from that respect. But there's a realm that I'm not familiar with. I really know very little about the realm of the heavenlies, about where God lives and what takes place there. I know there's so much, the Bible has a lot to say about this life, and I know from experience from this life, but every now and again there's just little pinpricks that kind of tears back the veil a little bit into that other realm, and you can kind of have a look through the peephole to see what's going on the other side. And there are a few times where those peepholes are kind of opened up for us to look into the heavenlies. And one of those times is here. And what you see, that we're in heaven. Now, we've mentioned this before, but there are 3 heavens the Bible talks about. When God created the heaven and the earth, it's also the heavens, plural. He made like where the birds fly, the atmosphere. He made the universe where the stars are. But the place where what Paul calls the 3rd heaven, I don't believe he created in Genesis 1, that where God lives was already there. He created where we live, this world and the universe and the solar system that we know here. God created that. But where he is, different, already there. And every now and again we can get a peek into there and about the angels that are there, and you find that there is often the scene that is set before us. Whenever those little peepholes are given to us, you'll find that you'll see a throne and you'll see judgment. And you'll see that there is a judgment hall in heaven. The psalmist says it like this in Psalm 103 and verse 19. He says, The Lord hath prepared his throne in the heavens, and his kingdom ruleth over all. God sits on his throne, and this throne of judgment rules over all the dominions, all powers, all principalities, both that are in the air and here in our world. God rules over it all. He is God. You also have in 1 John that this scene of this judgment scene is played out in different phases and facets, but you also find that Jesus is represented as an advocate. Now, an advocate is a lawyer. So not only do you have this judge sitting on a throne, you have Jesus as this lawyer, and you have it in 1 John 2:1, where it says, My little children, these things write I unto you, that ye sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. So there is the advocate, Jesus Christ, who pleads on our behalf. But you also have the prosecuting attorney in this courtroom scene that pops up on numerous occasions, known as the Satan. Satan is both his name and who he is as a personality. Because Satan, the word Satan is Hebrew Satan. Now, what's really interesting that there are times when God is Satan. Did you ever know that? That God at times is referred to as Satan, as Satan. You think, what on earth are you talking about? Well, those verses have to do with when Balaam, when God withstood Balaam, where it says that he withstood him, that the angel of the Lord withstood Balaam. The word withstood is Satan, Satan. So he is saying he is the Satan, he is the withstander, he is the one who is against him, opposing him, which is what the word means, which is who Satan the individual is. He is the adversary. There are times when God says that he will rise up adversaries against Israel. The word adversary is Satan. He will rise up. And at times different nations have been Satan to Israel. It's the terminology. They are adversaries. And so here we have the adversary standing before God. It's like the prosecuting attorney, the one who brings the accusations in the courtroom. But then you also have this other one. It also means to be opponent, to withstand, adversary. It's what Satan means. But you also have this other group, which some have called them the divine council, or witnesses, or this other group, which are the angels that are there. And you'll find in verse 6 where it says that now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before God. That is referring to the angels. We can go back to Genesis 6, and this is where everyone wants to link the two between Genesis 6 and Job 1 and say, right, these are the same. This is where angels, they are the angels. I don't have an issue with linking those two, Genesis 6 and to try and use Job, because Job does refer to angels. It is referring to angels. What I would also say about Genesis 6 using Job 1 is that the sons of God here are good angels. Which is not what they're usually saying when they're trying to link the two out of Genesis chapter number 6. But this is the good angels, these are the right angels, because here is Satan comes amongst them, and it's like it's odd, it's strange, it's peculiar, it's weird. What are you doing here? What are you doing amongst the sons of God? And he comes in. And I like how Ben put it. We were talking about this verse, and Ben said it's kind of like when God asks him, what are you doing here? It's kind of like he is aloof. It's like, as Ben put it, he said, it's kind of like he's a teenager, where a parent might ask a teenager, where have you been? Oh, I've been around. Where have you? Oh, just here, there. Just kind of aloof in their answer. And that's kind of how Satan seems to be answering here, as God says to him, where have you been? Oh, just walking back and forth, up and down, over here, over there, just, just aloof, not really. No, it's kind of disrespectful to the authority. It's the same thing as what a teenager would do to a parent. Kind of be disrespectful and say, I'm not going to tell you exactly where I've been. It's my business, and I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to get on by here. And so he kind of is this aloof answer that he gives. He's just been out and about. He's been traveling around, as he puts it. But the witnesses, the council that is also there. In Isaiah's account, Isaiah 6:1, does anybody know Isaiah 6:1 off the top of their head? It's a very famous verse. In the year that Uzziah died, I saw the Lord. Oh, there we go, the high lifted up a bit. I saw the Lord high and lifted up. He says, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. So Isaiah gives us a little peephole as well into a little look into the heavenlies, and again you find God sitting on his throne. There's this sign of judgment and authority. Turn to 1 Kings if you would. You would have read this if you did the extra homework assignment last week. 1 Kings chapter number 22. This is very interesting because it's very similar to what we see in Job. 1 Kings 22, and Micaiah is the prophet here. Micaiah is speaking, and he's a prophet of the Lord. Ahab hates Micaiah because Micaiah only tells him bad things. All the other false prophets say all the positive things about Ahab for him. Whatever he wants to hear, he tells them. Micaiah speaks, thus saith the Lord, and Ahab hates him for it. He never speaks anything good for me. But look at verse number 18. And it says, and the king of Israel, Ahab, said unto Jehoshaphat, did I not tell you that he, Micaiah, would prophesy no good concerning me, but evil? And he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. That's what Micaiah said. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. He's talking about the angels, an angelic assembly of the hosts of heaven. He said, and I saw, and the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? So here is God talking to the angels that are assembled, the heavenly hosts, asking them that who shall persuade Ahab? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him and prevail also. Go forth and do so. So you have here a very interesting passage where Micaiah says, I saw the throne room of God. The hosts of heaven were gathered around there, and it was like there was this council taking place. And surely we look and think, well, why does God need counsel? But God offsets his authority to those that he has created. He has given man authority, and man has authority to rule this world. We are to govern the affairs of this earth, God placed to the authority of mankind. So in the heavenlies, it seems also that he has deemed authority to his heavenly hosts. That there are angels who have authority in ruling, not because God can't do it himself, but he has so decreed to, delegate that authority to angelic hosts. Delegate the authority to man as well. His authority has been delegated. And so when man judges, we are told that we stand in the place of God, judging the things of God. So the council here, he's also asking the council, all right, delegating his authority and asking them. And one said this matter, one said something else. And so we see this kind of divine council of sorts taking place there in heaven. Well, that's what you see also in Job, where there's also this assembly of the sons of God before God, and they come to present themselves before God, the supreme, sort of like the CEO. I don't know if that's irreverent to look at it like that, but the CEO, and here are the board members of sorts giving answers, or counselors giving answer to the king, and they present themselves, and here is Lucifer, Satan, presenting with them also. And he says in this, have you considered my servant Job? You think, what on earth is going on here? Is God just trying to win a bet? Is he just trying to say, right, I'll tell you what, Satan, you go try and test my servant Job, and I bet you he will not fail. That's not really what's taking place here. But Satan, the accuser, is saying, I'll tell you what about this guy. This guy is only serving you because you bless him. And he is presented before God as the accuser, always accusing the saints. Now we find that in Revelation, where in Revelation, where is it? 12 verse 10, it said, I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. So Satan stands before God in some way, in some sense. I'm not going to tell you exactly how this works, other than to say that's what the Word of God says on numerous occasions, that the devil stands before God accusing, making accusation, and accusing the saints day and night before God, and then by default his accusations are also heard in the divine council. The heavenly hosts, the sons of God, are also giving ear to these things that the devil is accusing what's taking place. Now, in doing some research and reading, one of the best things I could come up with is one person put it like this: that God wasn't trying to win a bet against the devil. He was trying to win a verdict of innocence. Again, think of the courtroom setting that is taking place there. Judgment that is being meted out, what's right and what's wrong. He was trying to win a verdict of innocence. He was trying to clear Job's name to the divine council. The reason God allowed the accuser or Satan to torment Job was to prove that Satan was wrong to the members of the divine council. That God was proving to his heavenly host that Job's faithfulness did not depend on his circumstances, and therefore the accuser's legal charges are null and void. So here is the accuser coming before him, making these accusations, but the account is going back and saying, no, he is righteous and he is going to do what is right, regardless of what the accuser says about him. And so there is this verdict that is almost playing out in heaven as if before the heavenly host, the sons of God, to say, see this accuser? See him? You know Satan. You know Lucifer. You know him, sons of God. And what he is saying is false. And you can see this laid out in Job's life. And so it's like he's cancelling out the accusations of Job. And you think, well, why did God allow those things for Job to take place? And we look at it on this side of things. And it's sort of, life is sort of a tapestry. I've used it before and it's not original with me, but life is sort of like a tapestry that we sort of live on the backside of a tapestry. That, have you ever seen the backside of a tapestry? It's like, or a long cross stitch, or those that do that. If you turn it over, it's a mess of colours and threads, and the picture is not clear. It's the broken off bits, it's the tying ends and things, whatever. On the other side, you can see what the artist has done. But on this side, it's unclear. It's just hazy and colours and kind of blurry of what the actual image is. And we live on the backside of that tapestry. What God is doing, we don't always understand, and it's not always clear to us. And that's really what Job then lays out. But on the other side, the heavenly side of things, whatever is taking place in Job's life is absolutely clear on the heaven side of things. And on this earthly side of the things, we look at it, and Job looks at it, and we have to try and make sense of the backside of the tapestry. But know this is an interesting verse as well, and I'll close with this one. 1 John 3:8 says this, that he that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose was the Son of God manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. All of what God is doing, everything in this life, from Adam and Eve in the garden all the way through to the book of Revelation and where Jesus Christ comes again, all of that is culminating in one central theme, that God will be justified, the Lamb of God will be glorified, but Satan ultimately will be destroyed and cast down into the lake of fire where he is bound and burned forever and ever and ever. That he is destroyed. So all of what God is doing has a central purpose that is centered around a heavenly theme of to destroy the works of the devil. And so on this side of things, Job, we kind of get a peephole that God is working in this life towards a purpose of destroying the works of the devil. And that tapestry works towards that. And I can't tell you much more than that, other than to say that's what, looking through this little peephole that is given to us in a few verses, that's what we kind of see. Now there's going to be a day where we get to not just look through the little peephole, but we'll be actually standing on the heavenly side of things, and I think the tapestry and the things will be clear. And in this side of it, we now have to try and make sense of the backside of the tapestry as best as we can, which is what we're going to go into with Job and his three friends, trying to make sense of the blurry image of this side, Earth's side, as opposed to the clear picture on heaven's side. And that's where wisdom and that's where trust and understanding and all those things that we try and make sense of the backside of the tapestry, other than really understanding heaven's side, which is heaven's courtroom and his authority and God. And again, these things are laying the scene. And that's why Satan, I think, is presented here in the book of Job, because it lays, again, the foundation of what Job goes through and how to understand the things that we go through in this life and how it's tied in to the story that's taking place in heaven. They're not, earth and heaven are not just two separate, distinct places. God rules over both, and he rules what is happening on earth is The story in heaven and the story on earth are not two mutually exclusive stories, is what I'm trying to say. They are linked, more so than we fully understand this side of heaven. But it's Job, and it's an interesting book, and we'll dig a little bit more into it as we go along. Let's go to prayer, shall we? Let's have some time of prayer. Hopefully you wrote some of those prayer requests down. There is supper this week. I noticed the numbers were up this week. Can only put it down to supper. There is supper, and people came back on a Wednesday night. But find a prayer partner or two, and remember the prayer requests. Remember also, I forgot to mention this, please pray for Brother Ramos. Brother Ramos is flying back as we speak, hopefully, somewhere between New York, Dubai, and Sydney. He's trying to make his way back to Australia. The Australian government has paid for his ticket, and he has to pay back a little bit of it later on. But pray for Brother Ramos as he comes back to Australia. He's en route at the moment, and to get some things sorted back here in his own country.